Welcome to LFFL Primetime. Everything you need in likely more than 5 minutes, so we'll call it 5 minutes-ish. Thanks again to Matt Merrill. If you didn't watch the other episode, I found all these old logos he had made for us, which I am really enjoying. So let's look at your Week 9 outcomes over here in the original league. Greg, the 24-point win over Andy, maintaining his spot in first place. Josh, the big win over his brother to move to third place at 6-3. Bill and Miles, a tight one. Bill ends up with a 5-point win thanks to Taysom Hill's 0 on Monday Night Football, not helping Miles at all. Todd, 129-109 over Eric, and I was also able to pull the close one on Monday Night Football as Phil could only get to 91 points, allowing me a victory to move into a tie with Greg. I should say maintain a tie with Greg atop this league. Greg and I sit at both 7-2. Josh at 6-3 all by himself in third on our tail for that bye week. Todd and Matt still very much alive for the bye week as well at 5-4. We have Andy, Bill, and Eric at 4-5 tied for that final spot. Miles at 2-7 and Phil at 1-8 after the loss. Now, let's look ahead to week 10 over here. Josh taking on Todd, defending champion, actually opened the season with a 154-114 win over Josh and does have the series lead at 18-10 overall. However, Josh, no pushover right now, up to 6-3 and leading this league in scoring at this point. He is definitely a team that looks like this could be the year. Josh has never won the title in this league in spite of being in it for 18 years now. This could be his year. Matt taking on Bill. Matt 5-4, Bill 4-5. Bill leads this series 16-11. These two have actually met 5 different times in the playoffs, and that's the most of any non-class of 96 rivalry. So obviously like Matt, Phil, Todd, myself, and Eric, because we've played together for so much longer, we all hold the series for most playoff matchups. This is it, though. When we talk about the newer franchises versus the older franchises, 5 times these two have met in the playoffs. Very cool to see them hooked up again this regular season. Eric, 4-5, taking an 4-5. Big game here to kind of stay in the playoff mix. Eric won the week 1 matchup, 146-135. Eric leads the series, 21-17. However, Andy got the best of Eric in the most important game they played, one of the closest Super Bowls that's ever been played. Andy won 142-139 way back in 2007. And Josh is number 1 scoring. Andy's actually number 2 in scoring in spite of his 4-5 record. Andy's scoring a ton of points at this point in the season. So much like I said, a formidable opponent here as well. And then Miles taking on Phil, 2-7 versus 1-8. Certainly one of these teams will be in bad playoff shape. They already are. One will be even worse after a loss this week. Miles actually smoked Phil back in week 5, 165-111, and now leads the series 4-3. But your primetime matchup, there is no other when 2 first-place teams hook up to take on each other. Greg and myself both sit at 7-2. Someone will have solo possession of first place after the week is over. Greg won the week 5 game between us 143-120. However, I do hold a slim 17-14 lead in the series. We've actually met in 3 different Super Bowls. Greg won 2 of them, 2009 and 2017. I was able to win the first time we matched up back in 2006, an 8-point win. I am scoring more than Greg this year. I am 3rd in total points. Well, he's only 7th. But you know what they say, there's a reason they play the games. We're in the thick of bye week season. Anything can happen. Looking at your week 9 scores in the LFFL2, Sean, apparently I have changed his name to Shaw. Shaw, 75, Eric, 72, a close, high-scoring affair. Bill, Phil, Miles, and myself are all also winners. As I told you in the What to Watch For video, we're seeing some serious separation here, right? The bottom 4 teams are basically more or less moving towards out of it at this point, whereas the top 6 teams still very much in the mix. Eric and Bill at 7-2, Phil, myself, and the Merrills at 6-3, Miles at 5-4, still very much in the mix. Week 10, Phil taking on Miles, Eric taking on Andy, Bill taking on Todd, Merrill's taking on Sean, and Greg taking on myself. Look, we could have more separation here, right? Basically, outside of Phil taking on Miles, this only game with 2 teams over 500. And if you look at the standings, the top 1 through 5 are taking on 6 through 10. So we'll see if the separation keeps building in this league. LFFL 3, Sean actually got his name right on the screen. Beat up on Todd. Matt Merrill beat up on Andy. Bill beat up on Matt Brennan. Eric beat Miles. Greg beat Nate. And Phil beat myself. What that means is we have very clear chunks right here, right? Sean, Matt Merrill, Phil, and Bill all cruising towards playoff berths, all at 7-2. Then we got Greg and Erickson at 5-4, with Miles and Nate right behind them at 4-5. Myself and Matt Brandon not out of it yet at 3-6, but we do need to start doing some winning fast. Andy at 2-7, and Todd definitely out of it at 0-9. Week 10, Phil taking on Bill in a battle of two first place teams. Matt Merrill taking on Eric in a battle of two teams that are over 500. Nate looking to keep those playoff spots alive, playoff hopes alive by taking on a team in front of him. You always like that chance. Greg taking on the winless Todd. Miles taking on Matt Brennan. Andy is playing myself. LFFL 4, congratulations are in order to Eric Warner. Third win this season, 15th overall. 15 overall wins is actually third all time. Eric's 169.52 points, 20 points better than second place Greg, who was 20 points better than third place Bill. This is Eric's fourth top two finish in the last 6 weeks. And look who won our showdown on Monday Night Football. Also, Eric piling up 89.58 points to edge out second place Eric and third place Phil and fourth place Jeremy, who had a close battle there. Overall standings, Nate, 72 points. Eric in second place at 56, Greg at 55, Bill at 52. We know there's a close mix here. Phil 49, Todd 47, all very much in the mix here. Oh, by the way, Eric, first showdown win this year and fourth showdown win in the last 2 years. Week 9 in the LFFL 5-year winners were Phil, Bill, Sean, Miles, and myself. Your standings, I am 8-1, Eric is 7-2, Phil and Greg are 6-3. Sean, Bill, Miles, all at 4-5, likely need to win out to have any shot at the playoffs from those 4 and 5 teams. Andy 3-6, Todd at 2-7, Nate at 1-8. Now, can they win out? Possibly, right? We're moving to our flex scheduling for weeks 10 through 12. Playoffs will start in week 13. What that means is, remember why I made that flex scheduling? You're playing the teams around you. So the top teams are all playing each other. As you'll notice, Eric and I are playing each other this week. Bill has Phil on the schedule this week. Sean has Greg on the schedule this week. So they absolutely have chances to make moves if you're these 4 and 5 teams. Sean, Bill, Miles, I'm talking to you. Totally got a chance to make a move here. We also have Todd taking on Nate, Miles taking on Andy. LFFL 6. You know, we had a big election last night, and I thought I'd use some election lingo to help you all decipher what happened this week. Greg picked up a few seats in the House to take control of the LFFL 6 here, jumping over Matt Merrill. However, Matt was able to hold the Senate, only dropping down one position. So although Greg took the House, Matt holds the Senate. We have a divided top of this league. Phil holding on in third there. Eric Miles tied for fourth. I lost both of my delegates to the House of first place. How embarrassing. I had 2 delegates in the House of first place. I have no delegates in the House of first place anymore. And it was Todd, that big gerrymanderer Todd, redrawing his lines to make a move from 13th all the way up to 10th. Very good. Your leaders, February, Greg, March, Phil, April, Greg, May, Josh, June, Nate, July, Sean, August, Miles. Look at the LFFL 7. Jeremy was your elimination by a significant margin. 6 teams left, still alive. Miles, Matt Merrill, Phil, Josh, Nate, and Andy can all still claim the crown over here. LFFL 8, I continue to lead this league. I have since week 1. Matt Brennan continues to be in second, as he's been most of the season. Phil continues to be in third, as he has been most of the season. And finally, LFFL 9, 1 week left over here. I have a commanding lead in the 1-8 matchup. I have a pretty sizable lead in the 3-11 matchup. Phil has opened up a fairly good lead over Bill in the 5-13, threatening that upset, moving on to the semifinals for the defending champ. This is the really close one over here. Number 10, Miles, has a 20-point lead over number 2, Greg. Miles and Greg have not made a move. If you two want to make a move in advance of week 10, you are welcome to. Nate and Todd, if you two want to make a move to try and get back in the mix against me, you are also welcome to make moves. Bill and Phil, no soup for you. You have already made moves. That's all I got for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I wish you all great successes in week number 10. We'll see you later.